Well, hello from number 10 Downing Street here in London, where Russia has warned Britain it will face what it calls consequences over the supply of drones to Ukraine. Now, the Russian embassy in London says British-made drones have been used in long-range attacks on military and industrial targets inside Russia. The claims follow reports that equipment made by two British companies has been used by Ukrainian forces. Well, the UK Ministry of Defence has not confirmed the specific use of British drones in the attacks, but says Britain remains committed to supporting Ukraine against what it calls Russian aggression. Now, the government is planning to provide Ukraine with 150,000 drones this year as unmanned technology becomes an increasingly important part of modern warfare. Well, earlier, the former UK Defence Minister Tobias Ellwood gave his analysis exclusively to AnewZ. He also spoke about his 10-step plan to avoid World War III, which is the subject of his latest book.
Certainly the world's getting more dangerous and not less, and this is one part of the world where we need to be very concerned about. The war has been rumbling on now for 4 years, but things are changing. Not on the ground. The battlefield itself hasn't really moved one way or another. Nobody's gaining ground. But in the air, boy, the advance of drone technology is changing the aspect of the war, with Ukraine firing deep into Russian territory. And that does two things. Firstly, it challenges Putin's myth that somehow he's winning this war, because the Russians themselves are now feeling the pain every single day, recognizing they could be at threat. And then the second thing is that it's hitting Putin's economy. Oil is so critical for Russia. So what we're seeing is a change and an escalation in what's going on there. And of course, Russia now saying, hang on a minute, Britain, you're sending drones there. We're now going to then challenge you as well. I would add, they're already doing that. Every single day, we get cyber attacks that come from Russia that hit the UK. We get these shadow fleets of ships that are checking out our undersea cables and so forth. So we're moving into a new era of grey zone warfare, and it's about to escalate. 10 steps. I mean, the first is just to understand the world better, to understand why Russia, China, and other countries never signed up to our global order in the first place, and the fact that they believe that the West has taken advantage of the fact that it was in control of global order. When you think about all the things that we've done, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, even going back to America, taking Hawaii, I mean, that was annexed. So when we then turn to China or Russia and say, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, they turn around and point to history and say, hang on a minute, you're no better than us. So we're at this junction, if you like, of the world splintering into two groups, and many countries not knowing which way to choose. Do you stick with the Western model, which is starting to erode, or do you jump on with China and its One Belt, One Road program? Over 100 countries involved with that. The BRICS, of course, you get the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. They are mimicking our original global order, the UN, the World Bank, the World Trade Organization, and so forth. So these are the two competing arenas. And much of the world is going, my goodness, which way do I turn?
Well, meanwhile, Britain's labour market is continuing to cool. Unemployment stands at 4.9%, while the number of vacancies has fallen to around 700,000. That's the lowest level in 5 years. Private sector wage growth, well, that's slowed to 2.8%, its weakest rate since 2020. Well, the figures are likely to be closely watched by the Bank of England, as weaker employment could reduce pressure for further interest rate rises. And finally, the weather is taking another dramatic turn after weeks of drought and extreme heat. Heavy rain is now moving across parts of Britain. The ground remains exceptionally dry and hard, meaning intense downpours could run off rather than soak into the soil, increasing the risk of flash flooding. But experts warn that the rain does not mean the drought is over. What Britain needs is sustained rainfall, say the experts, over a much longer period to replenish reservoirs and groundwater. This is Shone from London for AnewZ.